our celebrity chef Tjaart is going to show us how to make a rather interesting meal. Fried barbecue mince with some Clover classic mayo and a scone bake. Yes, folks, you heard that correctly. You're going to be using a scone not only for tea, but we're also going to be serving it on top for supper too. Now, I'm very excited for this. What do we need?
To make the scone base, Balisa, I've got all the ingredients that are necessary for a scone base. We are making it a little bit on the softer side because normally the scone batter or dough would be a little thicker and drier. But today we're going to be making a bit of a softer one because we want it to basically cover the entire filling that we're going to be making. And for that we need some flour, some butter, some cream, bicarb, and some milk as well. So all of that's going to come together. I'm going to get started with that. And then, Chef, you can take us through your barbecue mince.
Right, so smoking pan, we're going to get cooking here. So very important, as you know, when you're cooking with oil, bring up your pan, heat it up first, and then add the oil to literally like it is smoking, you know, and then go in with your onions in here. Nice thing about a hot pan is you're going to maintain the temperature, because imagine a product goes in, and especially when it comes to meat, and if you're short of time and you haven't taken out the fridge and allowed it to sit for a little bit, and it's really important to keep up the temperature. I was going to drop it down too much. So literally get those onions in here and start a little bit of colour. Colour is flavour. So get that going in here. And then what have we got? You've got your harder vegetables. So think of like a carrot, yeah? It's going to take a lot longer to cook. So that goes in right in the beginning. Almost immediately. And get those going. Oh, there's a few jumping out the pot here, but anyway, that's all right.
As excited as we are for this recipe, and that is why I love having Chef Tjaart in the kitchen. He brings that energy, he brings that focus in the kitchen, but more than ever, he brings absolute yumminess in the kitchen. So, Chef, you are on the meat station. You're going to make sure that our mince is absolutely cooked through beautifully. And all I'm going to be doing, super simple, because I'm so great at it, I'm just going to be grating some cheese.
I see you. I see what you did there, Pele. Yes. So the cheese that you're grating actually goes into our scone base. That's going to go on the very top.
Lovely.
And Chef, I think I love the idea of what you've made, because this is, in essence, somewhat a take on a cottage pie, right?
Well, in essence, I mean, you've got scones on the top there. There's lots of different other things you could put on top if you wanted to. I mean, cottage pie is that mince layer at the bottom, and then you've got that beautiful potato one on top. So, yeah, it's a different version. This is going to have a little bit more structure, really kind of consistency. So anyway, look at this pan. Look how gorgeous all those colours are in there. Now, if you want to do what I'm doing here, you shake everything down to the edge of the pan, and then you have a bit of a jab towards the sort of the fire, and then you flick it back in, yeah? And then you can just bring it back in like that. You got that?
No ways. I could never do that in the kitchen.
Anyway,
I don't trust myself enough.
Anyway, in with our mince. And we're going to get that cooking down as well. So, goodness, why is everything jumping out my pan today?
It's all the excitement, Chef.
There. Oh, my goodness.
I want to ask you something, Chef. Most times when people make mince dishes, they like to cook the mince on its own before adding the stuff.
Well, again, by all means, you can do. Cook the mince separately. You know, get colour. Colour is flavour. And again, if you want to get browned mince, leave it alone. Come and talk to you.
Yes.
Watch your grains, you know. But anyway, really important. If you want colour, allow it. Leave it alone to do its business. All right. So that's it. What are you doing? If you keep mixing like this, all you're doing is you're just going to hold in more steam. Steam creates moisture.
Oh, wow.
And then what do we end up with? Grey mince.
And that is what we
rather
do
leave
not
it alone.
want. Okay.
Exactly that there. Anyway, I'm going to just, you know, because we are cooking live here, I just want to sort of speed up the process. So what else have we got to go in here? Tomato paste. So you can imagine this is dark, rich, and it's coming through there. A little bit of garlic as well. Brown sugar. All right, so it's going to help with the sort of the caramelization of everything else as well, and sort of counterbalance the tomatoes. Remember, tomatoes, when they are cooked, actually become more acidic and bitter in flavour profile. Not necessarily sweet as we know them in its raw state. Okay, and then from there, what have we got? Oh, now we've got the barbecue sauce that needs to go in.
Chef, what I love about all of those flavour profiles that you're incorporating is I definitely do see a whole lot of sweets, a whole lot of savoury as well, but we also cannot forget tanginess. It is all about the tanginess as well in this dish, because if you like me and you do love yourself a good mince, I like it to be creamy as well. So Dumi, what I want you to do, we've got a beautiful Clover classic tangy mayo in there, and you know what I love about the range is that they come in 3 different variants. You can get number 1, which is not as strong, I like like to believe. Number 2 is a bit mild. And number 3 is the ultimate tanginess. That's like the last number. But over today, we're going to be using number 1 for the recipe.
Number 1, Palisa, because in essence, all we want here is we want more than anything, we want the creaminess of the mayo itself. As we all know, the product itself is superior. So we want to make sure that we get the creaminess, the quality of it, and it actually does enhance the tanginess of the tomatoes that are already there. So it actually balances out the tanginess of the tomato, the sweetness of the barbecue sauce, gives you a bit of a zinginess in the actual sauce itself. Chef, can I ask you just to plop that in there?
Talking of that there, with tanginess and bitter notes, actually sometimes you need to actually add bitter and bitter profiles to actually get a sweet profile at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like maths.
There's a whole chemical reaction going on in here that actually brings things out. So sometimes you taste something and think, oh, it needs some more sugar. Actually not. You probably need a vinegar or an acid, which is going to accentuate some of the other flavours, and then the chemical reaction change its profile to what you want. So as Tumi was saying now, you've got that sharpness, the tanginess of the mayo coming through, the sharpness of the tomatoes coming through. And what's going to do is going to counteract and actually bring out the sweetness of the tomatoes and bring them to the forefront.
Wow,
All right.
I love that.
So yeah, lots of chemical reactions going on in here. And then lastly, a little bit of beef stock just to cook that down. And then you want to cook this
all the way through.
Oh, absolutely. All the way through until you end up with this.
And
That
then
looks beautiful.
all you do is you plop over your beautiful scone mix on top of your. Chef, can I ask you to help use that spoon? And
So this is where the one-pot wonder happens.
Correct.
Because I was wondering, I'm seeing a whole lot of ingredients and different dishes being used, but essentially that scone mixture will harden and create that top
Correct.
layer. Now, essentially, this is exactly what Dumi was talking about. Originally, you could use potato or sweet potato, and that is known as like a cottage pie. But today, we're going to be using a scone topping, and that is that difference. That is that variety that Chef is bringing. So thank you so much. It is just that easy. To get this recipe, just head over to afternoonexpress.co.za.
There is a classic mayonnaise that brings out the traditional French in 3 levels of tanginess. The mild classic, the medium classic, the strong classic. Tangy the way you love it.
Made with love by Clover.
Chef Tjaart, as soon as it is done on top of the stove, then what?
Right, and then into the oven, right, Tumi?
into the oven, Chef. So
Yeah. So what temperature, Tumi, and how long?
we're baking this for about 180 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. The whole idea is you want to make sure that the scone is baked nice golden brown that we've got over there, and then it soaks up all that moisture. It gives you a beautiful, amazing texture.
Yummy.